Sarah's hands were rough, calloused from years of working the land, but her touch was gentle as she brushed a stray lock of hair from Billy's forehead. He was sleeping soundly, his small chest rising and falling with each breath, oblivious to the worries that plagued his mother's mind. Their farm, once a source of pride and sustenance, was now a constant reminder of her late husband, Tom, and the dreams they shared. Dreams that were slowly fading like the paint on their weathered farmhouse. Tom's passing had left a gaping hole, not just in their hearts, but also in their ability to keep the farm afloat. He had known everything about farming, every trick to coaxing life from the stubborn earth. Sarah, though willing, lacked his expertise. The bills were piling up, the crops were failing, and the bank was starting to make unsettling inquiries. Their farm, nestled in a valley where the sun beat down mercilessly in the summer and the wind howled fiercely in the winter, was more than just land, it was their home, their history, their connection to Tom. Losing it felt like losing him all over again. Sarah looked around the small, sparsely furnished room. Billy needed shoes, and she needed to fix the roof before winter set in. She felt a surge of determination. She wouldn't let Tom's legacy die. She would fight for their farm, for Billy, even if it meant working herself to the bone. She would find a way. The drought had been particularly cruel that year. The relentless sun had baked the earth into a cracked, barren landscape. The creek that once flowed freely, providing life to their crops, was now a mere trickle, choked with dust and despair. Sarah walked through the withered corn stalks, the leaves brittle and brown, a stark contrast to the vibrant green she remembered from previous summers. Each step crunched like bones under her worn boots. The bank's letters were a constant source of anxiety. Each one felt like a hammer blow to her already fragile hope. She had tried everything she could think of, cutting costs, selling what little livestock they had left, even taking on odd jobs in town, but it wasn't enough. The debt loomed over them like a dark cloud, threatening to engulf everything they held dear. Billy, despite his young age, understood the gravity of their situation. He would often try to help, fetching water, weeding the garden, his small hands mimicking his father's movements. He'd ask, "Mama, will we lose the farm?" His innocent eyes, filled with worry, were like a knife to Sarah's heart. She would hug him tight and reassure him, "We'll be okay, Billy. We'll find a way." But inside, she was terrified. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Sarah sat on the porch, watching Billy play with a toy tractor in the dirt. The silence was broken only by the chirping of crickets and the distant howl of a coyote. She felt a wave of despair wash over her. Was she strong enough to face this alone? Was she failing Tom, failing Billy? But then she looked at Billy, his face lit up with joy, and she knew she couldn't give up. She had to keep fighting, for him, for Tom, for their future. Jake lived on a sprawling ranch that bordered Sarah's struggling farm. He was a man of the land, weathered and strong, with kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. He knew the rhythms of the earth, the secrets of the wind, and the language of the animals. He'd inherited the ranch from his father, and he ran it with a blend of tradition and innovation, always looking for ways to improve and conserve. He was known throughout the community for his generosity. If a neighbor needed help, Jake was always the first to offer a hand, whether it was mending a fence, helping with the harvest, or simply lending a listening ear. He never hesitated to share his knowledge or his resources. He believed in the power of community, in the importance of helping those in need. Jake had noticed Sarah's struggles. He saw her working tirelessly in the fields, her shoulders slumped with exhaustion. He saw the worry etched on her face, the lines deepening around her eyes. He knew about the drought, the failing crops, and the mounting debt. He'd heard whispers in town about the bank threatening foreclosure. He admired Sarah's resilience, her unwavering determination to provide for Billy. He saw her love for her son, her fierce protectiveness. He knew she was a good woman, a hard worker, and he couldn't stand by and watch her lose everything. He felt a stirring of something more than just neighborly concern, a deep respect and admiration that resonated within him. He knew he had to do something to help. He just wasn't sure how to approach her without seeming intrusive or condescending. He wanted to offer his assistance in a way that preserved her dignity and empowered her to succeed. He spent days pondering how to best help Sarah and Billy. One sweltering afternoon, Jake drove his pickup truck down the dusty road that separated their properties. He stopped at Sarah's fence and saw her struggling to repair a broken section. He hopped out, his Stetson shading his eyes. "Afternoon, Sarah," he said, his voice warm and friendly. "Looks like you could use a hand." Sarah looked up, surprised. She wiped the sweat from her brow with the back of her hand. "Jake," she said, a hint of weariness in her voice. "I'm managing." "I can see that," Jake chuckled softly, "but 2 hands are always better than 1, especially in this heat. Besides," he added with a wink, "I've got some new fencing techniques my father taught me. Thought I'd share." Sarah hesitated, pride warring with necessity. She knew she needed help, but accepting it felt like admitting defeat. "I don't know, Jake." "No strings attached," Jake assured her. "Just a neighbor helping a neighbor. Think of it as community spirit." He gestured towards Billy, who was watching them with wide eyes. "And maybe Billy here could learn a thing or two." Billy's eyes lit up. He'd always been fascinated by Jake's ranch and the animals he kept. "Can I, Mama? Can I help?" Sarah looked at Billy, then back at Jake. She saw the sincerity in his eyes, the genuine offer of help. She knew she couldn't refuse. "All right, Jake," she said, a small smile gracing her lips. "I appreciate it." And so, Jake began to help Sarah with her farm. He showed her new irrigation techniques to conserve water, taught her about crop rotation to improve the soil, and lent her some of his equipment, saving her valuable time and resources. Billy, in turn, became Jake's shadow, eagerly learning about ranching and forming a strong bond with him. He saw Jake as a kind of father figure, someone he could look up to and learn from. The farm slowly started to show signs of life again, and a flicker of hope ignited in Sarah's heart. The wind howled like a banshee, carrying with it the acrid smell of smoke. A wildfire, sparked by a lightning strike in the nearby mountains, was raging out of control, fueled by the dry brush and strong winds. Sarah stood on her porch, her heart pounding in her chest, watching the ominous orange glow creep closer. Jake arrived moments later, his face grim. "Sarah, we need to evacuate," he said urgently. "The fire's moving fast." But Sarah shook her head. "I can't leave. This is my home." She looked towards the barn, where their few remaining animals were huddled. "And I can't leave the animals." Jake understood her attachment, but he knew they were running out of time. "We can try to save them, but we need to act quickly. We'll drive them to the far pasture, where it's less likely to burn." Together, they worked feverishly, herding the animals into the pasture. The air was thick with smoke, making it hard to breathe. Embers rained down around them, igniting small fires in the dry grass. Billy, despite his fear, helped as much as he could, his small face streaked with soot. As they finished securing the animals, they saw that the fire had jumped the ridge and was rapidly approaching the farmhouse. Jake grabbed a shovel and started digging a firebreak, desperately trying to create a barrier. Sarah joined him, her hands blistered and raw, but determined to protect her home. They worked side by side, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames, their efforts a testament to their courage and resilience. The fire roared closer, an inferno of destruction, testing their limits and threatening to consume everything they held dear. It was a battle against nature itself, a fight for survival against overwhelming odds. The sound of sirens grew louder as fire trucks arrived, their flashing lights cutting through the smoky haze. Neighbors, alerted to the danger, rushed to help, armed with shovels, hoses, and anything they could find to fight the flames. The community rallied together, a united front against the destructive power of the fire. Old Man Hemlock, who lived down the road, brought his tractor and plowed a wide firebreak along the edge of Jake's ranch. Martha, from the general store, organized a makeshift aid station, providing water, bandages, and words of encouragement to the weary firefighters. Even the town's mayor showed up, offering support and coordinating the relief efforts. Sarah and Jake, exhausted but determined, worked alongside their neighbors, their faces blackened with soot, their eyes bloodshot. They fought tirelessly, beating back the flames, dousing embers, and helping to evacuate those who were most vulnerable. Billy, under the watchful eye of a neighbor, helped fill water buckets, his small hands working with surprising strength and determination. As the night wore on, the wind finally began to die down, and the firefighters gained the upper hand. Slowly but surely, the fire was brought under control, its destructive force contained. The farmhouse and Jake's ranch were scarred but standing, saved by the collective efforts of the community. In the aftermath of the fire, the true spirit of the community shone through. Neighbors helped neighbors rebuild fences, repair roofs, and replant crops. They organized fundraisers to help those who had lost everything, and they offered emotional support to those who were struggling to cope with the trauma. The fire had brought them together, forging bonds of friendship and resilience that would last a lifetime. It was a reminder that even in the face of adversity, the power of community could overcome any challenge. With the community's help, Sarah's farm slowly began to recover. The charred fields were replanted, fences were rebuilt, and the farmhouse, though still bearing the scars of the fire, stood strong. Jake continued to lend his expertise and equipment, and Sarah, drawing on her newfound knowledge and the unwavering support of her neighbors, worked tirelessly to restore her land. The crops, nourished by the recent rains, sprouted with surprising vigor. The livestock, safe in the far pasture, thrived under Sarah's care. The farm, once on the brink of collapse, was showing signs of life again, a testament to Sarah's resilience and the power of community spirit. Billy, too, was thriving. He spent countless hours with Jake, learning about ranching, fixing equipment, and caring for the animals. Jake taught him valuable life lessons about hard work, responsibility, and the importance of respecting the land. Billy soaked it all in, his admiration for Jake growing with each passing day. He saw Jake not just as a neighbor, but as a mentor, a friend, and a father figure. As the farm recovered, so did Sarah's spirit. The worry lines on her face began to soften, and a genuine smile returned to her lips. She felt a sense of accomplishment, a deep satisfaction in knowing that she had overcome adversity and rebuilt her life. She was grateful for Jake's help, for the community's support, and for Billy's unwavering love. One afternoon, as she watched Billy and Jake working together in the barn, she realized how much things had changed. The farm was no longer just a reminder of loss and hardship, it was a symbol of hope and resilience, a place where she and Billy could build a future, together. And she knew, deep in her heart, that Jake had played a significant role in that transformation. He had not only helped her save her farm, but he had also helped her find her strength and rediscover her joy. As the seasons changed, so did the feelings between Sarah and Jake. They found themselves spending more and more time together, sharing meals, working side by side in the fields, and simply enjoying each other's company. Sarah admired Jake's kindness, his strength, and his unwavering support. She appreciated his sense of humor, his easygoing nature, and the way he treated Billy like his own son. Jake, in turn, was drawn to Sarah's resilience, her determination, and her loving heart. He admired her strength in the face of adversity, her unwavering commitment to her son, and her ability to find joy in the simple things. He loved the way her eyes sparkled when she laughed, the way her hand fit perfectly in his, and the way she made him feel like a better man. But Sarah hesitated to fully embrace her feelings. The pain of losing Tom was still raw, and she feared the possibility of experiencing that kind of heartbreak again. She worried that she wasn't ready to open her heart to someone new, that she would be betraying Tom's memory. She pushed down her feelings, trying to convince herself that she was simply grateful for Jake's friendship and support. Jake sensed her hesitation, and he respected her feelings. He knew that she had been through a lot, and he didn't want to pressure her. He continued to be a friend, a neighbor, and a support system, patiently waiting for her to come to terms with her own emotions. He knew that love couldn't be forced, and he was willing to wait as long as it took for Sarah to be ready. He found himself increasingly protective of her and Billy, his feelings deepening with each passing day, hoping she would eventually see him as more than just a friend. One evening, as Sarah was tucking Billy into bed, he looked up at her with his earnest, innocent eyes. "Mama," he said softly, "do you like Jake?" Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't realized that Billy had noticed her feelings, or rather, her attempts to suppress them. "He's a good friend, Billy," she replied evasively. "He's been very helpful to us." Billy frowned. "He's more than a friend, Mama. He's like a dad. He teaches me things, and he's always there for us. And I think he makes you happy." Sarah's eyes welled up with tears. She knew that Billy was right. Jake did make her happy, happier than she had been in a long time. But the fear of loss still held her back. "I'm just scared, Billy," she confessed. "I don't want to lose anyone again." Billy reached up and gently wiped away her tears. "Jake's not Tom, Mama. He's different. And I don't think he's going anywhere. He really likes us, Mama. And I really like him. I want him to be part of our family." His words struck a chord deep within Sarah's heart. She realized that she wasn't just protecting herself, she was also denying Billy the chance to have a father figure in his life, someone to love and guide him. She looked at Billy's hopeful face and knew that she couldn't let her fear control her any longer. She had to be brave, for herself, for Billy, and for Jake. It was time to take a chance on happiness. It was time to open her heart and let love in again. Billy's simple, heartfelt plea had given her the courage she needed. The next day, Jake came over to help Sarah fix a broken tractor. As they worked side by side, Sarah found herself stealing glances at him, her heart swelling with affection. He was so kind, so strong, so good with Billy. She knew that she couldn't deny her feelings any longer. When they finally finished the repairs, Sarah took a deep breath and turned to Jake. "Jake," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "there's something I need to tell you." Jake stopped what he was doing and looked at her, his eyes filled with concern. "What is it, Sarah? Is everything all right?" "Everything's more than all right," Sarah replied, a small smile gracing her lips. I have feelings for you, Jake. Strong feelings. I've been trying to deny them, but I can't anymore. Billy helped me realize that it's okay to be happy again, that it's okay to love again." Jake's face lit up with joy. He reached out and gently took her hand in his. "Sarah," he said, his voice filled with emotion, "I've been wanting to tell you this for a long time, but I didn't want to pressure you. I love you, Sarah. I love you and Billy. You've both brought so much joy into my life." He paused, then dropped to one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. "Sarah, will you marry me? Will you let me be a part of your family, forever?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears of happiness. She nodded, unable to speak. "Yes, Jake," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Yes, I will marry you." Jake slipped the ring onto her finger, then stood up and pulled her into a tight embrace. Billy, who had been watching from the porch, ran over and jumped into their arms, his face beaming with joy. They were a family, finally complete, bound together by love, resilience, and the unwavering support of their community. Sarah accepted Jake's proposal, her heart overflowing with a joy she hadn't felt since Tom was alive. It was a new kind of happiness, one tempered by the memory of loss, but also filled with hope for the future. She knew that Tom would have wanted her to be happy, and she knew that Jake was the right man for her and for Billy. Planning the wedding became a community affair. Everyone wanted to contribute, to share in their joy. The women of the town gathered to help Sarah choose her dress, a simple but elegant gown that made her feel beautiful and confident. The men worked together to prepare the barn for the reception, stringing lights and decorating the space with wildflowers. Billy, excited to be a part of the preparations, helped Jake build a special swing set for the children who would attend the wedding. As the wedding day approached, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of peace. She had faced so many challenges in her life, but she had overcome them all with strength, resilience, and the unwavering support of her community. She was grateful for everything she had, for the love of her son, for the friendship of her neighbors, and for the chance to start a new chapter in her life with Jake. She knew that life wouldn't always be easy, that there would be challenges ahead. But she also knew that she wasn't alone. She had Jake by her side, and together, they could face anything that came their way. Their love was a testament to the power of hope, the importance of community, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. She was ready to say, "I do," and embrace her future with Jake and Billy. The barn was beautifully decorated, strings of twinkling lights illuminating the rustic space. Wildflowers adorned every surface, their vibrant colors adding a touch of natural beauty. The air was filled with the sweet aroma of Martha's homemade cake and the sounds of laughter and music. Sarah, standing next to Jake, felt a surge of happiness wash over her. She looked around at the faces of her friends and neighbors, their eyes filled with love and support, and she knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. She squeezed Jake's hand, and he smiled back at her, his eyes reflecting the same joy and contentment that she felt. As they shared their first dance as husband and wife, Sarah couldn't help but think about all that they had been through. The loss of Tom, the struggles to keep the farm afloat, the devastating wildfire, and the long journey to finding love again. But through it all, they had persevered, supported by their community and strengthened by their love for each other. Billy, dressed in a miniature suit, danced with his new grandmother, his face beaming with pride. He was so happy to have Jake in his life, someone to look up to, someone to share his adventures with. He knew that Jake would always be there for him, just like a real father. As the night drew to a close, Sarah and Jake stood hand in hand, watching the stars twinkle in the night sky. They were a family, finally complete, ready to face whatever the future held, together. Their story was a testament to the power of love, the importance of community, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. It was a story that would warm your heart and remind you that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter tomorrow. They had found their happily ever after, right there on their little farm, surrounded by the people they loved. Years passed, and Sarah and Jake's love continued to grow stronger with each passing day. The farm flourished, a testament to their hard work and dedication. Billy, now a young man, had inherited Jake's love for the land and was eager to carry on the family tradition. They faced challenges along the way, as all families do, but they always faced them together, with love, compassion, and the unwavering support of their community. They taught Billy the importance of hard work, honesty, and kindness, and they instilled in him a deep respect for the land and for the people around them. Their home became a haven, a place where friends and neighbors were always welcome, a place where laughter and love filled the air. They hosted countless gatherings, celebrations, and potlucks, sharing their joy and gratitude with those who had helped them along the way. Sarah often looked back on her life, marveling at how far she had come. She had lost so much, but she had also gained so much more. She had found love again, she had built a strong and loving family, and she had created a life filled with purpose and meaning. And as she looked at Jake, his eyes crinkling at the corners as he smiled, she knew that she had made the right choice. He was her rock, her partner, her soulmate. He had rescued her from misfortune, not just by helping her save her farm, but by opening her heart to love again. Their story was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter tomorrow. It was a testament to the power of love, the importance of community, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. And it was a story that would continue to be told for generations to come, a heartwarming tale of a rancher who rescued a woman and her orphaned son from misfortune, and in doing so, created a new, loving family, a symbol of hope and resilience that would forever warm your heart.